Been nice and gentle with that. Fucking drops it. Hello again, YouTube, to the people who follow my channel. Thank you. You can see I've got the Maserati up on the hoist behind me. Today the clutch will be going in as well as the brakes, and hopefully by tonight I will be driving it around the block to see how it all went. I have heaps to do and I've got heaps of stuff on the bench, so I'll show you what's coming up. I've been waiting for you. While I've got the car on the hoist and apart, I just thought I'd show everyone, this is the oil line for the dry sump. That's the oil storage tank there, and that's the feed into the pump. So as you can see, when you put on the Euro 3 headers, it comes very close to this line. So I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I will be wrapping this end of the exhaust on the header to protect that line a bit. I suspect on the original cars the line probably ran through this gap here, which is quite sizable, but I'm not sure because I've not played around with too many variations of this car. Coming over to the bench, I've actually got a couple of goodies. This is for my fast car, which I'll be doing some videos on later. That's an oil cooler for it. And I've also got some Hawk brake pads to go on that car, and I'm really looking forward to talking about that car in the future, but that will come up in a later episode. But back to the Maserati. I've got the Flywheel, which is now surfaced and ready to go in the car, and this thing is incredibly light. It must be 3 kilos, 4 kilos at the most. So that's good to go. I've got my new clutch in here, which Barbagello's in Perth helped me out quite a lot on the price for that, which was very helpful of them. So that's the new clutch, and you can see that it's been lightened, so I had a bit of mass taken out of it, which will be nice and comfortable and good on the bearings. I also had all the brake rotors checked for run out to make sure that they're running true, and they've all been balanced, so they'll be going on the car. Hopefully be doing some laps with them and the Hawk pads, and it'll all come together, so that's really neato. A Hill Engineering bearing to replace the Throwout bearing. So I will, part of the video will be actually getting this thing fitted and going through that process, but might as well have a look at it now. This is actually the first time I pulled it out. Let's have a look at that. That feels nice and smooth. It's built quite a bit differently than the OEM, but it'll be nice to get them side by side so we can have a proper look. And this material is the issue on the OEM one. It seems to come apart and stick, but we'll get a better look at it once it's apart. I also have my failed clutch solenoid, and I have finally got my rebuild springs for that, so I'm going to attempt rebuilding this and testing that. Hopefully today as well, so we'll be able to see if the solenoids can actually be refurbished instead of spending hundreds of dollars to get a new one every single time. So yeah, a fair bit coming up. Before we get started, we're going to pull out the spigot bearing because it's fucked.
What? Proper fuck.
Really can tell now that I've got everything out of the way, and I can feel the grinding. Obviously you guys can't, so take my word for it. But that should really be done every time you do the clutch, and it's just obvious that stuff on this car was skipped. Someone must have said, oh yeah, you don't need to do that, and it might have been okay when they did the change, and it's just not survived. I've also got a new rear main seal, not because there's any indication that I need to change it, but considering the difficulty of reaching this, and it's most likely a 13-year-old piece of rubber on an engine that's hotter than the sun, I don't expect it to be holding its seal forever, and it's most likely going to fail within a few days of putting the thing back together, just because that's how Murphy's Law works. So those will be the first 2 items before I start reassembly. So we've been able to pull it out a bit with a spigot puller, but it's being a bit stubborn. So I'm going to actually fill all this with a greasy rags and then hammer into it to push it out hydraulically. I've heard of people using bread to do that, but I don't have any bread on hand. with this thing apart, it's actually really obvious how badly this thing is sticking. As I try and push it in, it jams and moves in a really poor fashion. I'll be dismantling that and you'll be able to see the process. Yeah, hopefully that'll make a good difference to it. So this is just what actuates your clutch. The pressure will come in and supply pressure this way to press the clutch in to release it, and then the spring pressure in the clutch is what pushes it back when it opens up the hydraulic circuit. You can see on the old clutch the wear marks from sitting on the bearing. So it sits like that, and it would normally be down like that, and then the hydraulic pressure pushes that bearing to push those release springs and release the clutch. I don't think it can be picked up on camera, but just on the inside layer there, you can actually see where whatever this engineered plastic is, this blue material, it's built up a layer. It's actually almost like it's delaminating. I'll try and get a close-up photo of it. This magnet here, this is how the car knows where the clutch is. So that slides over the magnet, and then as that clutch moves in and out, that gives the position through this, which is the F1 position sensor, which is just a Hall effect sensor. So I have to remove this and put this on the new bearing. So there's a little pin, which you should be able to see there, which I have to tap out to release that magnet. I do not want to lose that. So this screw must always point forward relative to the bearing's motion when I go for reassembly. But now I'm going to clean up my workspace and move on to reassembly. So the bearing moves in this direction. So that's the screw, so that's the correct direction for this on my fancy new Phil Engineering bearing. So that is my little split ring ping. Alright, so with that in, that's going to slide over this, but first I've got to get all the springs and pins and stuff back in place. So it all kind of goes together in a fun little arrangement. So these little pieces, they sit inside the bearing to seat the spring. And these sit here to prevent the bearing from going away to freedom. So this is my first time trying to assemble this, so it's a little bit of a puzzle, but I'm sure it will come together without too much difficulty. I will, just to make my life a bit easier, put a bit of the hydraulic fluid on the bearing surfaces, so hopefully that will slide on nicely. So, time to get the flywheel back in place, then the clutch, and then I can put the rest of the car back together. Hopefully we'll be driving it in a few hours. The bolts for the flywheel are just high tensile steel, so unfortunately I can reuse these. They're not stretch bolts. Just looking up the torque settings. So, shim for the flywheel, and the bolts are done up to 91 Newton meters. We're going to put a bit of Loctite, medium strength Loctite on this as well, because don't want to come back here if anything goes wrong. That shim can only go on one way, so just be mindful of that when you're trying to line it up. Otherwise you won't be able to get the bolts through. I got it on the right way first go, which is good. It makes life easier. 91.
So you're going to do a star pattern as well?
Yes, and I was going to say, do we have
Yeah, you want to mark it?
I will. I'll do it properly.
Yes.
Unlike literally everything else done with this car.
Tomorrow.
Hello everyone, we're on day 2 and I have nearly fully assembled the car, but I had one interesting thing to show you that I had an issue with when I was hooking the gearbox back up. You'll notice I've actually got the hydraulic jack holding one side of the gearbox up, and it turns out that there is enough slack in the through holes for the bolts on the torque tube at both ends that you have to support this on the side that it droops when you tighten these up, otherwise it will actually rest on the subframe. So that was something that I've just discovered and am now rectifying, because I was trying to work out why it looked a bit lopsided and it was resting on there. So I've got it jacked up on one side. I'll jack it up just a little bit more before I come back and tighten everything. But something to be mindful of when you do this if you pull the gearbox out in the future.